Today I will be exploring the sustainability of history and relationships in a small town. Welcome to Oriskany, New York, a quiet village nestled in the Mohawk Valley region in upstate New York. If you threw a dart at the center of the state, you would hit Oriskany. When I tell people where I'm from, I usually get one of two reactions. That must suck. Upstate is all farms and there's nothing to do up there. Some people just nod and smile until I elaborate that it's about 35 minutes from Syracuse. As you enter the village, the first thing you will notice is a VA-164 Navy plane and a huge anchor sitting in the middle of the village green. The anchor is from the USS Oriskany aircraft carrier, which was sunk 27 miles off the coast of Pensacola, Florida in May 2006. At first, it was supposed to be used for scrap metal. However, it sat unused for a long time, so the Navy sunk it to create the world's largest artificial reef, weighing 44,000 tons. This is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the rich history of my hometown. Summit Park Amusement Park was once the entertainment hub of central New York. A trolley brought guests from around the area to the park, located right up the street from my grandparents' house. As you can see from the picture, the park had several activities. The main attraction was an amusement park that featured a large wooden roller coaster. The park closed for a while after a storm blew the roller coaster down. The park was never the same after that, so the village shut it down permanently. Now, all that remains is an overgrown field with a few wooden steps that lead down to the Oriskany Creek. The village has failed to maintain the park grounds, which is disappointing considering Summit Park was an integral part of the community at one time. Directly behind my grandparents' backyard was a bustling hotel named Trinkus Manor, popular for its restaurant and amazing Christmas light displays. It was eventually demolished because the owner got too old to maintain the property. He is over 100 years now and still lives right down the street. He is over 100 years old now and still lives right down the street. He is a very active member in preserving the community's history by working closely with the museum's director. The major piece of history they are trying to preserve is during the time when Oriskany still had its original name, Oriska. The name was given by the Oneida Nation Indians. The Battle of Oriskany was the bloodiest battle of the American Revolutionary War. The generals and soldiers were not as prepared as they should have been for the brutality. Even though the village scrambled to finance a monument for the battlefield, the state eventually agreed to help them out once they found a solution. To decrease costs, builders used the leftover bricks from the construction of the Erie Canal. Every year, Oriskany is a place where people settle down to live for the rest of their lives. Pictured is Eastern Star, a nursing home where many residents of Oriskany go when they can no longer live at home. My grandma currently lives here, and I worked here for 2 years. It was a rewarding experience because I had the opportunity to sit down with some of the residents as they reminisced about what Oriskany used to be like. Their main concern? People are moving into the village without acknowledging the town's significance and traditions. The younger people are making it a challenge to sustain the village and its beauty. The Oriskany Creek Dam on a Friday night is a popular hangout for local teens. The place is covered with their trash, which pollutes the water and harms the creatures that live there. To try to solve this issue, it is a core part of the second grade curriculum to rebuild the brown trout population in the creek. After learning about the trout's life cycle and needs, students raise 50 of them and release them once they are grown. This program teaches the students that they can take part in something meaningful that will benefit the whole community. There has been some controversy over our school's mascot. A debate sparked when the state insisted that the term Redskins was racist. However, the Oneida Indian Nation fired back, saying that Oriskany deserved to keep the name because we take pride in what it stands for. They did make another area with the school mascot change it because they did not have any relation with the Oneida Indians at all. The entire community comes together to support our school whenever possible. This was especially true when our boys basketball team became state champions in 2016. It was my senior year and the boys had a 27-0 undefeated season. Community members young and old traveled around the state to every game to show support. This only happens in a close-knit community. After every win, the boys and their families were escorted into town with a fire truck parade, sirens and all. It was hard not to beam with pride at their success. My graduating class was 52 people. This is a picture of us on our senior trip in Boston. Our entire school district, pre-K through 12, is only 500 kids. Having such a small school district gave us the chance to form incredible bonds with peers and teachers alike. Sustaining valuable relationships in a small town is crucial. The next part is a little hard for me to talk about. For 14 years of my life, I was raised by my grandparents on the corner of Oklahoma Ave and Maple Street. The gray house with the maroon shutters, pictured in the title slide, is the only house I have ever truly considered home. In 2014, my grandmother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. That diagnosis flipped my world upside down because my family removed me from the home. All my memories were there. One of the hardest parts of leaving that house was the things I could not take with me. In that house, my blind and deaf grandfather served as my father figure. My mother and grandfather planted the oak tree that was in the front yard. After my grandpa's death in 2008, by far the toughest thing I've ever been through, my family planted a lilac tree in the backyard in his memory. We spread some of his ashes around it. When my grandma moved into the nursing home, the house was sold and the new owners cut down both trees. Now, all that remains is memories. That house is also where I said goodbye to my father when I was about 2, when he left us. As you can see, will always be a part of me in Oriskany. I admired it for its comfort and charm. I loved walking down every street, being able to greet everyone I passed by name. I also admire the community's support of small businesses. There are 3 dining establishments in the village, one of which is the Oriskany Diner, a hot spot on Friday nights. Filled with Oriskany memorabilia, it definitely helps to sustain the village's history. You are also bound to see at least 3 people you know there, and the waitresses will know your usual order within a few visits. Capri Pizza is a popular hangout for the younger crowd. The owner, John, considers every customer to be family. In July 2017, everything changed when I moved to a new place. Utica is only about 15 minutes from Oriskany, but the atmosphere is completely different. However, one of my earliest memories took place in front of the Sunset mural located downtown. My mother and I had spent the day together at the zoo, and on the way home she let me run through the sprinklers in front of the mural. I remember just feeling free. I feel somewhat out of place in the city because crime and poverty are major issues there. That's something that we never really saw in Oriskany. There are 3 active gangs in the city. They marked up some of the more beautiful places in Utica with graffiti, as you can see here. Shootings, stabbings, and robberies occur multiple times a day here. Drug busts are also frequent. There are times we feel unsafe walking out our front door. There is an unspoken rule that you never say hello to anyone on the street or even make eye contact, especially at night. Utica has been ranked as one of the most dangerous cities in the United States. It also has one of the highest homelessness rates. I have sustained my relationships and memories in Oriskany. I do my best to share its history, and I hope to bring my own family there someday to pass on the things I'd picked up by growing up in a small town.